Hey everybody, this is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another edition of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. We took some time off for the Thanksgiving holiday, but we are back today with a brand new episode. And if you're like me, I love the holidays, but I have to tell you, the only thing that I could think about is how much harder I now have to work to get these extra pounds off that I gained during the Thanksgiving holiday. And in order to make that happen, I'm gonna need a little extra motivation from one of our agents today, and her name is Jennean Veale. Now, Jennean is from our Marlton-Vorhees office, and she's an amazing real estate agent. She has earned accolades, Chairman Circle Platinum for 2021. She's a member of the Elite Circle. She is also in the New Jersey Circle of Excellence Platinum Award winner for 2021. But just as impressive as Jennean's real estate resume is, she has dedicated so much of her time to exercising and to be healthy and living a healthy lifestyle. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the symbiotic relationship between your health and your business. So in this episode, we're going to focus on working out your business and exercise routine with Jennean Veale, and we'll pick it up on the other side. Before we start our conversation today, I wanted to talk about the motivation for today's episode because, as we all know, it's the holiday season, and personally, every year I tell myself that I'm not going to eat everything in sight during the holidays, and that I'm going to be smarter about shoveling that third piece of cheesecake into my mouth during Thanksgiving dinner. But here we are again, and I feel ashamed of myself. So with that in mind, at the same time, it's also the season of making resolutions for the new year, and many take the newly formed shame that I feel, and they may feel during the holidays, and make it into a New Year's resolution to change that shame, right? To lose weight, to work out more, to quit a bad habit, whatever it may be. But the problem is resolutions often fail pretty quickly. In fact, according to Forbes magazine, 80% of New Year's resolutions peter out before the end of February, which in my mind is proof that the willpower alone only lasts for so long without good habits, accountability, and discipline, right? Which leads me to having Jennean here today. So Jennean, welcome. And there's a pretty obvious connection that I notice when I go online most days. And many of our agents know about our FitFoxTribe group page on Facebook. And if you don't, I suggest looking it up and participating in it, even if it's just reading about what others are up to, because it's a great idea for everyone. But here's the connection that I've noticed with you, Jennean, is that many of the people on FitFoxTribe that are most disciplined with their workout routines, that post the most on FitFoxTribe, also tend to be disciplined in their business. And you are right there at the head of the pack. And so I know that I haven't even let you speak yet.
No, you're fine. You're doing great. I appreciate it.
No problem. But with all that said, my first question to you is, do you see a correlation between your exercise routine and your business habits? Welcome, Jennean, by the way.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Absolutely. 100%. They definitely correlate to one another because discipline, you said it, discipline is key. I think we say this all the time in our industry. You have to put it in your planner, your calendar, write it down on paper, put it in your digital planner, however it works for you. Anything you write down, or you put it down on paper, or you put it in your phone, you put it in, somehow you put it in your own planner, whatever type you use, you're going to do it. I mean, that's typically what we see. If you can see it in front of you and you've written it down, you've now planned it, and you're going to do it. So it's the same thing with exercise. Basically, at least in our FitFoxTribe, that is something that those of us that are working out together have been able to accomplish because we write it down. So we write it down to each other. We make each other accountable. It's like, there's someone expecting you to be there. You're going to be there. You're not going to let them down. It's like you're not going to not show up for an appointment when you have a client. You're not going to not show up for yourself and for your tribe partners. So it's very similar. So it's the discipline, putting it out there, making an appointment or a plan to be there, and then you'll execute that plan.
Well, I do have to tell you, you and I know each other a little bit. We spoke, I think, a little bit last year, and kind of got to talking over a referral that maybe we were passing back and forth last year. And I see you all the time on FitFoxTribe, and it never ceases to amaze me what people can accomplish and how their discipline in the matter translates over to their business. And one of your posts in particular stuck out to me, and I mentioned this to you when we were on the phone last night, and this is why I reached out to you, was because you had a post that said, and I quote, "I cannot tell you how many times I told myself there's not enough time to work out this morning. I have 3 closings ahead today, and I have to be on the road before 8:30 a.m. 2 things came to mind. Number 1, accountability. I told Rajiv I would do this class earlier because I couldn't meet the group at 7:30. And 2, resolve. I made a promise to myself to make this a priority for me. My hair may be a little wet when I leave, and I'll be drinking my oatmeal in the car, but I am so glad I did this class." Now, a couple things stuck out to me about that. Number 1, I was mad at you because you're quite the overachiever and making me look terrible. But number 2, and more importantly, I was so impressed because I feel like as agents, I know when I have a super busy day ahead, it's easy for me to say, I'm going to put that off, right? But you had the resolve to do it. So why is it so important to you, with all that you have going on in life and business, to carve out extra time, usually at very early hours, to stick with your exercise routine and not skip the day when no one would blame or judge you if you had?
2 things. Well, first one, I'm getting older. And sort of, you kind of backtrack a little bit to what you said about, being busy and getting too busy to do these things. And that's one of the key points that I made. And I've been there. I've been there plenty of times in plenty of different instances and throughout my life. I could go back to different periods of my life where I get busy with kids or busy with work or busy with that remodel going on in the house. There's something going on, and that takes priority. And it could be months or years before you notice you now lost that good habit that you had going for yourself. You were taking care of yourself, and you suddenly feel it and you notice it. And then you say, well, why did I stop? But now all this time has passed. So it's just one of those habit loops we find, like you fall out of the loop. And so that's sort of my number 1. I don't want to let that go again. I've made myself a promise that, I get it. We all have to take time off once in a while, or just, draw back and go a little bit slower, but just do you, be you. Do what you need to do, but don't totally get out of that habit. And then the second thing is, and really this is probably more the number 1, I'm trying to keep this up for my kids. My kids are adults now. They're adults, and we can tell them to do things. We can tell them over and over what they should do, but I'm sorry, they're 24 and 31 years old. I've now learned I can tell them what to do and tell them what's good for them and what I wish I did at their age. That is not going to make them do it. So if mom's kicking their butt, they might start doing it. I mean, I'm just, if they can see me doing it and I'm doing more than they're doing, at some point in time, they've got to take notice. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
What's funny about that? You just kind of stole my next question because, I think one thing for all of us is that we have to find the motivation every day to get up and do these things, right? Whether it's our business or whether it's working out or anything else that you want to achieve in life. I was going to ask you, how do you motivate yourself to stay on your daily and weekly routine when you're going through those quote unquote valleys in your business or exercise routines and you don't feel like getting up that day and actually doing it? What is it that motivates you? And also, I wanted to ask you just a side question. Were you always this way? Were you always an athlete? Did you kind of work into this? Did you always kind of get motivated by getting up early and exercising?
So I guess kind of going back to the first part, I'm really trying to set a good example for my kids. And I also took part of that example from your part 2 of your question. My grandmother will celebrate her 98th birthday next week. So I'm very proud and grateful that I have a 98-year-old grandmother. That's my mom's mom, and my mom's dad lived to be in his 90s as well. Which is wonderful. She's in great health for a 98-year-old woman, but she can't walk. That is her one health issue, is she's just got no strength to be able to get up and walk. So that kind of was one of the starting pushes for me to get back into exercise again, because I even told her when I saw her this summer in July, because she lives in Florida, I said, because she's told me she was proud of me, because my mom told her that I'm exercising more and more and more, and she's very proud of me. And I told her that she was a big factor in that, because I'd love to live to be 90 or in my 90s. If I'm fortunate enough to get there, I hope I can still be moving around myself, and I can just be walking at that age. And, she's proud of that. Even, being some sort of a stimulator for that goal, she's proud of that. And I really, like I said, I want to be able to do this for my kids, because the younger you are, you start moving, whatever you're doing to be moving, you're going to be more mobile later in your life. And so going back to the second part of your question, no, I wasn't always this way. Actually, your podcast where you have had Alec on here, I followed very carefully, and I feel a strong connection to him, because I battled with my weight all of my life. Never, anything I'm never terribly obese, but just overweight. Always overweight. And it was tough. I mean, as a woman, especially as a woman having children, you go from one extreme to the other, because once you have a child, then you're trying to lose that baby weight. You get back there again, you have another one. So you're always on this roller coaster of weight loss. And I feel like all of my life I've been on a diet. There's just been diet after diet. And then exercise always felt like a chore, something you have to do to help you take off this weight, or at least that's the way I was raised. There was never really anyone around me in my family that was athletic for fun. It was always like a chore, and you have to do it so you can lose weight, or, that's like the reason for it. And I really found this habit of exercise on a daily basis now, not making it about weight loss. So I found better habits for eating, kind of like conversation you and I talked about earlier. So a lot better eating habits, not perfect, but better. But I found the type of exercise that I enjoy. I like the things I'm doing every day. I'm doing because I reap the rewards from it that make me want to do it again. Mm-hmm. And it's the feeling of the exercise. More so, I haven't been on a scale in probably 6 months. I don't know what I weigh. And I'm not looking at exercise any longer about getting on the scale to see if it's done anything for, my weight. Did I lose anything? Did I gain anything? So I feel like mentally everything has changed. And that's kind of why it's sticking with it for me.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, I come from kind of the same but different perspective as you. So, you and I were talking about, and many of the listeners here know that I've had some health struggles through the years. And growing up, I was always a huge athlete. I was always, every single day, whether it was, baseball, basketball, football, ice hockey, golf, like you name it, I played it growing up. And then I had some health challenges in my late teens, early 20s that have kind of stuck with me throughout the years, and they ebb and they flow. I got into running for a time, ran the Broad Street Run a couple times. I find ways to do different things exercise-wise because I miss it so much when I'm not doing it. And yes. One thing that I struggle with is sometimes I see what other people are doing, and physically, unfortunately, sometimes I can't do what they're doing, and it kills me inside. The willpower is there. It's just, physically, can I handle these things, sure. Right? And I do feel like I'm a self-starter when it comes to my business, when it comes to exercise, all that stuff. I want to be out there doing all these things. And the motivation is that I want to stay young. I want to stay ahead of the curve for my health. And you had mentioned your grandmother, you had mentioned your kids being a motivating factor. For me, it's that quality of life because I know what it's like not to have the quality of life. So, God willing, when I get to be 98 years old, I want to be able to still do things. I want to jump out of a plane when I'm 98. You know what I mean? Or at least have the capacity to be able to do something like that. Because I feel like if you don't stay ahead of the curve as we get older, I'm in my 40s now, and as we get older, those things are harder to maintain. So I always am in kind of, I don't want to say fear, but I'm aware of where I need to go in terms of my health in the future, right? So I talk about being a self-starter. Do you consider yourself a self-starter, or do you feel like you talked about accountability, right? And you mentioned your bike ride with Tabitha. Now, Tabitha is in my office, and this is a shout out to Tabitha. Tabitha is an impressive human being. She puts us all to shame when it comes to exercise. She is like a machine. I don't know how she does it, but she's amazing. But do you feel like you have to have an accountability partner with you at all times, or do you feel like a self-starter? Do you feel self-motivated? And that goes for business too.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely a self-starter. So speaking of business, I started in 2003, and you heard me say my grandmother lives in Florida. 2003, I started in the real estate industry. I lived in Florida, was married in Florida, grew up there. My entire family is there. I moved to New Jersey with no sphere, knew no one, and started my business here. So I would consider myself a self-starter because most of the people I know start in real estate with a sphere. They know people. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the street names, didn't know where the cities were. Had to map quest my way from property to property back then. Life was a little bit different. Definitely a self-starter in business, and the same in exercise. So it was September 7th of 2021. I set myself my first goal to do 100 workouts in 100 days.
Wow.
And I had a coloring calendar. So each day on the calendar, I'd color it in and, color it in and color it in. I'm one of those people, I like to see something. So whether you check something off, cross something off, I'm a list. I write lists. I'm cross things off my list. I see the efforts that I made in front of me and I did it. If I see something blank, that's not good for me. So I'm always going to color those boxes in. And so I did my 100 workouts in 100 days and I felt so good. And by that time, I had created my habit. After 100 days, I was so motivated to that same time every day. It was like 7:30 in the morning was usually when I would work out, and it was just me. And then I mentioned this, you may have seen me mention this in our tribe post recently. Rajiv posted at the beginning of this year that he was riding his Peloton, and it was his goal for 2022 to do 300 rides.
I did see that.
And I just commented in his post and said, I'm going to match you your 300 rides. I just thought that was so cool because that was like my next list of, things, like my 100 workouts in 100 days. It's like, I am the type of person who likes to set small goals, like step goals, and just keep following. It's not anything huge. If you set anything too big, then, you feel like it's not obtainable. So you set small, keep going and then keep increasing it, make it a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Did the same thing in my business. So I'm probably not the best at setting my annual goals. Like most realtors, probably have these great annual goal plans. I still do them the same way that I did in 2004 after my first year in the business. I set quarterly goals. I know how much income I want to make. I know what will pay my bills, put enough money away, save for a rainy day. And if I set those goals quarterly, they're more obtainable for me. And I grow them every quarter. But instead of that annual goal, I set them by quarter. And if I'm behind one quarter, I make up for the next quarter. So it kind of works out for me, baby steps, I guess.
Well, it's always what works for you, right? And you know what? You've been in the business approximately almost 20 years now. you know what's going to work for you, right? And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you've earned your accolades, and every year, you're winning awards. So, I mean, clearly it is working for you. I think that you keep stealing my questions, and so you
Sorry.
kind of got me off
You
my
didn't start your question.
my question list here. Now, I was going to ask you, do you suggest time blocking a weekly calendar out? And not only with your business appointments, but also to block your exercising as well, because many real estate systems, going back to business, many real estate systems will tell you to do that. If you're going to time block your week ahead, time block exercise, because they want you to exercise, have that stamina, have that energy to be able to approach your business that day, right? It's a symbiotic relationship in a lot of ways. And if you get off track, like you said, those blank times on your calendar, I know how unnerving that can feel, right? It just doesn't feel natural anymore. And that's kind of what you want, is to set those habits. I can't remember, and I know someone's going to correct me on this, all right? But I recently found or saw in an article, and this is probably totally wrong, but the gist is the same, is that I think it's like millionaires are 70% more likely to make their bed every day when they get up, right? And I think it gets into that habit forming, right? So I got in the habit of making the bed every day, and then I would do my push-ups every day, and then my reward would be my coffee, and got into what we call habit stacking, right? And so I can see it with you. You kind of do the same thing in your life. And I think it's a testament to those who have the discipline to do that, number one. And also, you had talked about motivation. It just feels good to you to do that. You have to find what feels good to you exercise wise and business wise, for that matter, and then just keep doing it, right?
Right. You always have to do it your way. I mean, I've had a lot of business related classes and groups that I've been in, and in business, people will ask me what I do and how I do it and the way that I do it, or what do I say? You go to a listing appointment, what do you say if you're in this situation? I can't tell someone what to say on a listing appointment in advance. I can't. We talk about role playing and, trying to prepare a newer agent for a listing appointment as an example. But if they're trying to memorize what I said to say, then they're going to stumble through that, and they're not going to have the ability to show that seller that they're capable of selling their home for the highest sale price, right? Because they're fumbling around trying to memorize what I said. You have to do you, be you, almost something I said earlier. You always have to be you and do what works for you. So in business, you have to do what works for you. Our clients are going to see it. It's going to come across. They're going to see how sincere we are. They're going to see how capable we are. And it's the same thing in exercise. It took me a long time to put that habit loop together in exercise. I've tried and tried and tried multiple different things over the years. I've done a lot that I've enjoyed. But what I've finally figured out is it's what you can sustain, and you sustain something that you enjoy. So instead of forcing yourself to do one thing or another that felt like you were forcing yourself to have to do it, when you miss it, when you want to do it because you miss it, you enjoy the feeling you get from it, you're going to do it for that reason instead. You're always going to go back and do it. So I got a lot of that out of reading Atomic Habits. That's why I say the habit loop. So the habit loop, I had to kind of almost retrain my brain into realizing, you're always to make that habit, to form that habit, that you have the loop where the feeling that you get from what you just did now makes you want to do it again. You reap the reward and you want that reward back again. So whether the reward is, fitting into smaller clothes or just feeling really good, whatever that is, once it stimulates your brain enough, you're going to keep doing it. You just want to do it.
And Atomic Habits is such a great book. And that's where I got a lot of my stuff from, and motivating factors, and how we talked about habit stack and all that kind of stuff, because it does work. And a lot of times I feel like, going back to the resolutions, these are why these things fail, right? Because willpower is only going to carry you so far. And so you do have to fall back on those habits when you have those hard days. So what do you think is your number one key to forming good habits and being consistent in your life, in your exercise, in your business?
So I guess a key is probably just still the planning, writing it down, just making it the accountability. So one of the things that I said, I don't know if it was in that post that you commented earlier or another one, I may have also once just said this to Rajiv. You know, a lot of times I show up in our classes just because I said I was going to be there. So to me, that accountability factor is if you say you're going to be there, you plan, if you tell someone, you're always going to do it. So I think that we should do this in all aspects. It's sort of like when we do our annual planning for work, right? If we set a plan, a goal for the year, what we're looking to achieve. If you tell someone that you've set a goal to sell $25 million this year, once you tell someone that's your goal, you're going to work that much harder to achieve that goal. So you could just tell someone that you're going to run your first 5K, but now you're going to do it because it's out there, right? I mean, it's not just something you're thinking about doing. You put it out there to the world. Now you're really going to do it.
You know what? In my life, and I don't know if you're like this, but I am so much better at letting myself down than I am letting other people down, you know? Because the one, and I don't want people to know this, but I'm going to share this anyway. The one way to get me to do things, to manipulate me, is to guilt me into something. Because if you approach me like I have to do this, I will fight you all day. I'll say, I don't need to do this. I'm not going to do that. Don't tell me to do what, I get weird like that. But if you guilt me into it, I'm there. 100% of the time, you'll get me to do whatever you need me to do,
Or so like. And the other one is if you tell me I can't do it, don't ever tell me.
Yes.
Don't ever 100%. Tell me I'm incapable or I can't do it. You shouldn't try that, Jennean. I think that's going to be too hard for you. Oh, forget it. I'm done. I'm in now.
And I think that a lot of personalities that are successful have that same attitude, right? Because we are not going to be denied, right? It's a challenge before us. And I feel like, well, challenge accepted now, and right. let's see what happens. I'm going to prove you wrong, right? So is there someone that you look up to that inspires you to push a little bit harder or to be the best that you can be, whether it be business or health or exercise, what have you? Is there someone that inspires you out there to do better?
So I probably look to my family the most. I do want to do as much as I possibly can for the people in my family that can't. My mom has MS. I talk about my grandmother and some health issues with people in my family, and I still want to give. I want to give as much of a push to my kids as I possibly can. But I will say that my youngest brother has been a weightlifter, bodybuilder since he was in his teens, and I give him so much credit. When we talk about inspiration, I'm not inspired to be like him because I'm not looking to do exactly what he's doing. But what inspires me about my little brother, he's in his 40s now. He's probably your age. But since he was a teenager, he has been lifting weights every day. He may have missed a handful of days because just like what I said about my workouts early in the morning and how I feel afterward, that's the way he feels from lifting weights, bodybuilding. And he has to go every day, never misses it. It's so important to him. And he made that a priority in his life. And everyone in my family talks about that, how amazing it is that he sticks to it, that he will always stick to it. He's not letting it go. And he was a preemie. He was a tiny baby when he was born. So I guess, that's another thing that we kind of look at for an inspirational factor, at least from our family's standpoint. But it's pretty amazing because I'm just now finding that ability to do it every day for a year and a half, 2 years again. And he's done this every day for 35 years. I guess, you look back.
I find that to be just one of the most amazing things when people have dedication like that, because like you said, I've gone to the gym consistently for a few years. I've ran consistently for say, 3-4 years, but then there's always something, some life event, and I think about these things too, when I'm doing them. I think about, well, what's going to stop me from doing this every day? Because I'm going to do this, until whenever. Right. And then something comes along that knocks you down. Right. So for me, this past year was getting COVID in like June. I was doing my push-ups every day for like 2 years. I got COVID, and all of a sudden I wasn't doing the push-ups every day anymore. Right. To be a weightlifter for that long and do it that consistently, I mean, it's almost superhuman in a sense, right? To have that willpower to do that and that motivation and be that dedicated. So I can only dream about being that dedicated in my health and as well as my business there. So what are your goals coming up for 2023? We're at the end of the year now. Is there any specific goal, and it could be in any area, is there any specific goal that you want to achieve to improve either your fitness, your business, what have you, this coming year? Is there something that you're setting out to do?
So I haven't decided everything that I want to add in here. Number one would be to continue. So going back to my baby steps, like I said, I tend to do small steps in my goals. I want to continue where I am instead of going backwards. So this year's goal, and I didn't even make it a goal in the beginning, I made it much later in the year. It's 15,000 minutes of exercise this year that I've clocked. I'm about 900 minutes away by the end of the month. And that to me was pretty exciting when I realized I was heading in that direction. So I would like to get to 18,000 minutes for next year. That is my goal in terms of timing. I've already looked at it throughout the year, and I've factored in plenty of days off and, plenty of time for recovery. So that would work out. So I am planning in that direction. And I did, some of those that are in the FitFoxTribe already know that I'm adding a piece of equipment to the Peloton gym. So the bike will now be added. We'll have a rower next to it. So we are adding the rowing machine to that, start getting some more upper body exercise in there, just to enjoy it. And my youngest son was the one who pushed me into that rower. It didn't have to push hard because I wanted to buy it. But as soon as he told me he would use it, we ran right to the showroom. Said, sold, order it, get it. He's going to use it too. So that made me happy. That made me really happy.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the rower, because I'm obsessed with getting a rower now. And I've looked into the Peloton rower. Now, it's not the cheapest piece of equipment out there, I will tell you that. But the reason why I'm looking into the rower is another one of the FitFoxTribe members, Zach O'Neill. Big shout out to Zach, who we first met each other at a FitFoxTribe. We went walking at Valley Forge Park, and he was telling me he was rowing all the time. And, flash forward to about, a couple months ago, I saw him at an event, and it had been some time since I saw Zach, and he looked amazing. Like, dude was in shape and he looks great. And I'm just like, is it still the rower? And he's like, yeah. And so I'm like, I got to get a rower. Like, so that's what I'm asking.
I'm even more excited. Mine won't be here till December 27th, but I'm excited. So that's getting added into next year's routine.
Yeah. So the rower is going to be there. So my very last question to you then, because I know a bunch of you are on this Peloton kick, right? And you post about Peloton a lot. So is it true that if you pedal at 88 miles per hour on a Peloton, you go back to the year 1955? Is that true?
Probably, because it's funny
or
you say that.
You can see through time. One of the two. Yeah.
You feel like you can go back in time, actually. There's a lot of different instructors at Peloton, a lot of different music. So what's funny is you're listening to music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s in one class, and you're having a great time. You're singing to Donna Summer along the bike ride, and the next thing you know, you're listening to new music from today. So that is a lot of fun. The music makes it a lot of fun. So do the instructors. We have a great time.
Who is the best, in your opinion, Peloton bike rider of the group? Who is the one person where you're like, wow, I can't believe that they're that fast or they do that much. I heard that Brad Pitt is no joke. Is that true?
I was just going to say, I'm sure you probably have heard this already, but everybody chases Brad for sure. Yeah, nobody can catch him. He doesn't ride as often. We don't see him all the time because I think he's a really early bird. He's like Tabitha or maybe even earlier than Tabitha, but we cannot catch him. And we can almost never get Danielle Ackman to ride with us. She's in our Cherry Hill office. But she's on there every morning. I see her and she is fast. She is really fast.
Yeah, that's you guys are, like I said, you guys are the overachievers of the group and make us all look bad, but we appreciate all of you and your dedication. And one day I hope to be as fast as you, as Brad, as Rajiv, everybody in the group. So, Jennean, I really appreciate your time. It was a lot of fun talking to you about this. And to all of you out there who are either members of FitFoxTribe or you're aspiring members of FitFoxTribe, or this is the first time that you're hearing about FitFoxTribe, make sure that you join the group, participate in the group if you can. I get a lot of motivation from it. Jennean is at the head of the class there in terms of how she motivates me. So I want to thank her for her time, and I will see you all on the Facebook page.
Yeah, sounds good. And I think I'll see you on Sunday for pickleball too.
Yes, I'll be at the pickleball event as well. I'm looking forward to that. I find a new way to tear a hamstring. So that'll be fun.
We're not doing that. I've never played before.
I'm staying stationary as much as possible. No, I'm just kidding. I love pickleball. It's great. So looking forward to it, Jennean, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
That was the conversation with Jennean Veale this week. I feel very motivated and inspired by her dedication to her fitness and her business. Here are a few takeaways from talking with Jennean. Number one, I think first and foremost, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to any goal in life, when it comes to your business, you have to find what motivates you, what gets you up every day and what keeps you going, because inevitably there are going to be days that you don't feel like pushing, right? You don't feel like getting up. It's a horrible day outside. Maybe you're a runner, right? You don't want to go out on a cold, windy, rainy day. But you have to find what that motivation is that keeps you inspired and keeps you going. For Jennean, she mentions her family, right? Her family is her inspiration and motivation. For me, it's staying ahead of the curve with my health. For you, you have to find out what works for you that's truly going to motivate you. What is the most important thing for you? Focus on that and go from there. Number two, we talk about accountability, and Jennean mentions that if she says that she's going to do something, she wants to follow through, right? The pressure is on her to follow through once she puts that out there in the ether to other people. And that truly works, right? So think about if you're going to start exercising or even business-wise, if you have goals and standards that you want to hit, make sure you tell people about that goal because it motivates the vast majority of us much more when we put a goal out there to other people. We don't want to disappoint them or disappoint ourselves. So accountability may play a huge role in getting yourself to that next level, whether it be business, personal, exercise, you name it. Last but not least, so much of what we do in life falls to our habits. And if you haven't read the book Atomic Habits, I've mentioned this before, Atomic Habits by James Clear is a fantastic book. It will help you in your career. It will help you with your life decisions. Just like James Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And so your habits become your identity. What you do every day consistently will define who you are. So if you're looking for big changes to your life in 2023, first start with small bite-sized habits that you can improve upon every day that will ultimately lead you to your goal. That's the podcast for this week. We will be back in another few weeks with a new topic, a new guest, and as always, if you want to hear something that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. And if you haven't subscribed and left a review for the podcast, please do so. It helps us to reach more people. Once again, this is Jason Ostrowski. I thank you all for listening, and until next time, stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast.